Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sibme Coach Replay Show. I'm your host, Cory Camp, and I am excited. Y'all should know her by now if you've been tuning in with us anytime this year or in the past year to have Kathy Renfrew back. Now, Kathy usually comes and talks to us about science content. She's our resident science coach here at Sibme. But today we're going to, just talk a little bit more generally about some things we can do as coaches when we're transferring some new learning, right?
We're going to blur those lines, Cory.
We're going to blur those lines. We're going to focus in on the coaching of things. So I invite you, if you're watching us live, to make some comments. If you've got questions for us, share your ideas, because Kathy and we were chatting earlier this week, and I was like, you should come on the Coach Replay. I've got an opening this week, and we'll just chat about it live on air. So it's unfolding, y'all. This is live TV. No, I'm really excited. Too much coffee today. So if you've got questions, if you've got ideas, I invite you to use the comments, and we will answer those on air. Of course, if you're watching on demand or listening on demand later on in the podcasts or on YouTube, you can also comment there. We'd love to hear your ideas and your thoughts. So, Kathy, what have you been up to lately? Tell me a little bit about what you've been doing.
Oh, my goodness. I have been really busy. I've designed as well as now implemented a K2 science and literacy course that my day job, my Wade Institute the group I work with, we put together this class for teachers and for K2 teachers. And what we had to do was we had to take what we did in person and figure out how could we do what we did in person in a virtual world. So we were able to do that. And we did that by putting together some modules. There are three virtual in-person virtual sessions, and then there's 4 online modules, and that basically puts together a whole class. If you want to take it for college credit, you can, or if you want to take it together for just PDPs, you can do that, or just for your own learning, which is, as I'm just being part of this group, I just so enjoy learning from others as they're working together too. So that's one of the things I've been doing, Cory. And it's kind of kept me busy.
I know it. I know. Yeah, we were when we were talking and kind of catching up earlier this week, I was telling you, I was like, man, I wish I would have known about this, because I've been doing a lot of work with K through 6 in coaching this year with my online teachers, and one of the things that they're struggling with or really interested, like they're really reaching out for ways to better integrate science. I know we've had you come on and talk a lot about advocating for science in instruction, even in the remote settings, but also like science and social studies, really thinking a lot about those STEM activities. And I was like, man, I know my teachers don't have the time maybe right now for that kind of a commitment. And I mean, who knows if I do either, but I was like, oh, I would have taken that if I would have known. And so, you're seeing this a lot, though. You're seeing a lot of coaches here in this course that you're giving, right?
Yes. I have a whole cohort of coaches. The course was designed for teachers, and we ended up with this whole group of coaches, science coaches, who wanted to know, how to implement inquiry in K2 better, and basically also how to integrate it with K2 science.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we know, literacy is such the focus of those younger grades that sometimes we often hear, oh, it's just so hard to have science, to do science. There's no time to do science. And that was in the real physical world when we were together all the time. That was the case. And now we're in a virtual world, which has really really emphasized the inequity of the situation, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, they are, right? The question is, and I have, I've been buying like all the books and diving into all my old books, and I've got these great ideas and things that, with the cohorts of teachers that I'm working with or as individual teachers, I'm either like hoping they ask me about, like it's a good time to add that in, or I'm like, oh, this is what they need right now. Then the question is, how do I get that to them? How do I transfer my learning to the campus, right?
Right. But also, once you get your learning to the coach,
Mm-hmm.
then they have to figure out, they have that next level, coach to teacher, then
Mm-hmm.
teacher to student. And, as we were talking earlier, that is one of the things that I've heard in this course, as coaches engage in inquiry activities or learn how to do productive questioning, um, or some different ways of science notebooks, just things that are a little bit different. Now, how do they take that new model back to their teachers, especially in the world we currently live in? One of the things that is obvious is role modeling. So how do we best role model that?
Yeah.
And how do you do it on Zoom? And yes, you can do it on Zoom, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to be intentional. You could have a science talk on Zoom, and so you've got 10 people in the room. The outside 5 are thinking about one thing, and the inside 5, you could do like a fishbowl, are doing something else. But role modeling is so intentional, and I think you're going to talk about role modeling in a little bit different way here too.
Yeah. Well, and really just that model is so important when we are talking about strategies. What we know in the research around professional learning for teachers is, and I'm the same way in my role in education as a coach and a leader. When I want to try something new, it's great to hear about it. It's great to hear that there's research. It's research based. We want to make sure that we're
But what does it look like?
Yes, but what does it look like? I
What
need
does
to
it
see it.
sound
Let me
like?
wrap my head around it, so then I can take it and make it fit into my context. And do it well the first time, as opposed to just kind of trying to take it off the page and into the classroom. And so that modeling is really important. So it might be that we're sharing an article or an idea and piquing interest, but then making sure that we also find models, provide models, find a way for an interactive model.
Right. One of the things, I was thinking about when you talk about that, the article, is that, you might have a grade level team and you might decide to read this short article about science talk. And you come together, you discuss the article, and then you say, okay, you make a commitment to each other. We're going to try just one thing, because we also want to see how it works, because not everything is going to work perfectly for everybody. So some of these things have to be tried out. And yeah. And the other thing, I've been using a lot of and recommending to teachers, we also always rely on text, but let's try Flipgrid or some of these other strategies, to help our kids. We could have a science talk. You could have them all and do different Flipgrid recordings. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head now as I'm talking to you.
Love Flipgrid in the classroom. I've been talking with a lot of my teachers about it. Like, again, it's that just right time for a few of their strategies and the things they're trying to accomplish that I'm like, okay, I think Flipgrid might be your tool in that classroom. Flipgrid fever. A lot of us have it around here. No, I think that's important. And what I also like about what you just said is, when we do our model or when we are sharing that strategy or that information, if we can find a way to share it through the same technology they're using in the classroom, so they can see it on that, I could use this. I could use Flipgrid for that. Like science talks are a great idea, but I could use Flipgrid as a way to do that. I think is also valuable, especially if you're not adding another thing that they have to learn of technology in addition to that. One thing that I've been doing a lot of, speaking of video and Flipgrid, is I have been capitalizing on video as a technology and our Sibme platform, this asynchronous way for me to create examples, or even just short clips of information that I then share with my teachers. And I do it in a few different levels. Like, if you're interested, or if you're looking for this, here's an example. So I do like a spotlight, a tech tool spotlight. So I did one on Padlet a while back where I introduced it. I talked a little bit about who it's for. I also, when I'm doing like new tool spotlights or, strategy spotlights, I tell them, this is a strategy for if you are not needing an extra strategy right now, if you've got all you can handle, or you're still working on some of your, like, stop watching this video and go work on that. When you're ready, this is here for you. So really starting to build a library of resources and strategies for them to be able to come back to. And what I've loved is some of the teachers I'm working with are now also doing this for each other. So I'm now not the only one creating these things. They're hopping on a screen share and they are showing this resource or this tool or how they're using this particular thing in their classroom. But I'll create these short videos, and because I can make comments on the videos, I'll give them, here's my model right here. Check out this sample Padlet. Go check it out. Here's what it looks like. Here's another resource if you're interested in trying more ideas for this. Here's an idea for literacy that I'll put on here, and then check out the board over here. So I'm giving them lots to kind of engage with, but I'm taking a strategy that you and I were talking about earlier, Kathy, that I hadn't looked into in a while until back into this year, when our time is low and our stress is high and our cognitive load is at its max. Utilizing some of the tenets of micro learning when I'm creating videos, making sure that I'm sharing information in these short micro learning opportunities that are kind of single outcome focused or single subject focused, so that it can be easier to consume and then move forward with that. So then I could follow up with a small model or an example of these things. So this has been really a great way for me to get things to the teachers, to the classrooms that I'm with. And what I love is, once a teacher grabs it in their classroom, then they are creating an example of how they're using it. So this is a teacher I had who found this site. She's now creating things with it. So she shared a quick video of everyone else who's doing it. And I just love that about the ability to use video in ways to support that type of kind of transfer right into that setting.
So Cory, just also thinking about video, another way to think about video, if you've done it, if you're making it for yourself, is it's a perfect tool for reflection.
Yeah.
And we don't often provide enough time for ourselves to do that reflection. But as a coach, you can help teachers see that the use of video might be one way to move that forward, to be able to really look at what you're doing in the classroom. I remember the first time I ever videoed myself, that was a pretty scary event. But on the other hand, afterwards, I thought, what a valuable tool this is to look at myself. And you have to be ready to give yourselves a little bit, you have to give yourself some grace, but you also have to be ready to look with those lenses on that you want to specifically think about. What was my questioning like? Was my academic language good? What else could I have done? Those kinds of things too. So what you were saying just made me think about all of that piece.
Yeah, it really has. I love that you brought that idea, because I'm a big fan of reflection and using video for that. That's what we're all about here at Sibme as well. It's what our tool is really built around. It has made me think more consciously, because everyone knows, if you've been watching this show for any while, this girl likes to talk. I can talk for a while, and I love to relate. And, doing these micro videos and, also supporting teachers, but really just for me as a coach and an instructional leader, I have thought very concretely, and I'll re-record a video because I got long-winded or I wasn't really clear. And so then I'll, create a quick slide to show the pros and the cons of the tool that I'm talking about, or, when might you want to use this particular strategy? And that way I can convey my message much clearer. And the teachers the same way, thinking through those things as they are doing it. And that's really where a lot of the teachers I am working with this semester have moved from, at the time it was very much this kind of directive, and here's it was that tech support. It was like, I need help right now. It was survival. And now they're really beginning to thrive a lot more, the online teachers that I've been working with. And I know all over, we're starting to find a little bit more of a stride in our current situation. And they have started that. Now that they're starting to share, here's an example of me implementing that. This is how I'm taking that video and then supplementing that in my instruction. They're reflecting, they're sharing, and it is maximizing the support, that I can provide because they're doing it with each other. So I love that collaborative aspect of this as well.
The other thing that reminded me of is when I began to think about myself on video, it's one of the places I learned about wait time, because I've been known to talk a lot myself. You ask one question and then you're firing off a bunch, and you don't ever give kids time to process. I remember having a 6th grader say to me, and he was saying to me, "Hey, Renfrew, please do me a favor and just slow down." And I can still talk about it. I still know that child, and I would thank him over and over again because I learned a great lesson from him.
I also learned a lesson from
watching myself on video.
Yeah. I had a 6th grader. I used to teach reading, and it would be silent reading time, and I was teaching in a resource classroom, and so I have a hard time minding the silence, Kathy. I mean, when there's a break in the conversation, I'll pick it right back up. I'm the first one to pick up that baton and start running. And so I would give reminders and cues. Remember, as you're reading, don't forget as you're reading. And finally, one of my 6th graders said, "Mrs. Camp, can silent, does that also mean you too?" And I was like, point, take it, got it. Yeah, feedback from our students can be some of the best reflective material for us. But going back to this idea of a lot of us as instructional leaders are doing this, or teachers are getting so much great content. Like, the educational community has really responded so well over the past 12 months to providing great content to support others. But the next thing is, how do I transfer that to my peers, to my colleagues, to the rest of my campus, so that the transfer can go from them to their students, as you shared earlier? And so I think just remembering to keep things short and small, maximizing the use of video if you can, just to give a brief summary of what it is, so that they can make a conscious decision if they want to, go read that article or try that out or reach out to you for more. And then always offering that open, door to say, if you're interested in this, you want some help with this, you can reach me, you know how to get a hold of me. I think those are important.
Well, I also thinking about, as coaches, when you were engaging in the learning, like in this course that we're doing, they're using Jamboard and they're using Google Slides. So do the same thing. Take the same experience. If the phenomena was listening to a cacophony of noises and sounds, what did you see? What did you notice? And share all of that on Google Slides. Everybody grab a slide, so that you're engaging them in the same learning that you did.
Yeah, don't take it back and take it into like a sit and get, for a lack of a better term, right, for it. Like, really take it back interactively, so you are introducing it and modeling it simultaneously. You're kind of killing two birds, one stone. And I think that's really smart. Any other ideas for this kind of transfer that we've been talking about today, Kathy? Or I'd love to invite our audience if you
Speaking of wait time, why don't we take just a moment or two of wait time and see if someone in the audience has something that they'd like to share?
Yeah. Yeah. Share something, or if we've said something today that you like that you're going to take in. We'll see if Yesenia Gonzalez was watching earlier. Let's see if she's still watching. Maybe she can comment with us. There she is. Yesenia said, student feedback is critical. Yes, absolutely.
So thinking about, now I'm going to talk, but thinking about student feedback is one thing I always used to do or try to do is use some sort of an exit ticket, even if it's just like, what's one thing I could do different? What's one thing you liked? Things that are very quick to do. And I think you could do using Google Forms asynchronously right now. But anyway, I just think I agree. Feedback is so critical. One of the things that we need that feedback for is for us to provide us the opportunity to change our instruction as we need it to, whether it's for a coach or for a teacher or for students.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. If we aren't gathering that feedback and we're just relying on, our gut feeling or our memory, which can be faulty, then sometimes there doesn't feel like there's a need to take that new learning and do those opportunities for learning or trying something new. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Pear Deck and Nearpod for any classroom setting, remote, hybrid, fully in person. And I always weave that feedback, take a minute to summarize what you've learned or what your favorite part about today's activity, or, something from today that you want me to keep doing is really a valuable way to just, like you said, get that feedback on a frequent basis. And as coaches, we can do this as well with our teachers, with those that we're leading, right? As you are trying new ways to share information and new learning with your teachers, ask, what's the best way? Do they prefer to read or watch a video, or do they want to, have a quick summary of it and see a model of it before they commit to taking it to their classroom?
Well, you talk about read or watch a video. I mean, I'm thinking about both the visual and the auditory, the closed captioning as I'm watching it go by here as we talk. And I'm thinking, it's getting at people's thinking and first of all, it's for accessibility reasons, but also for just preferred modes of instructions. But, I like listening to things aloud, but it's also very helpful to be reading it as it goes by me.
Yeah. I'm that person who I'll buy an Audible book and then I'll also buy the paperback version of it and have it sent to me, and then I'll listen and write, because it just helps me focus more into the content. I have astigmatism, my eyes jump all over the place. It's just a thing that has really helped me, and I also enjoy the Audible books. So also my kids are more likely to not interrupt my reading time if they hear that I'm listening and see me reading than if they just see me reading a book. They're like, Mom, I need this. So that's definitely it. And I wanted to share, Yesenia said, she always mentions wait time during staff meetings and ask a question and say, I'll give you some time to think about your response. I love that. And yeah, she said, great idea, Kathy. She's going to ask her staff, what is your preferred method? Like if I was going to share some new tips, and also the frequency of that could also be a question. Do you want to, a tip every week or once a month? I can spotlight a new tool, starting to think about how you can continue to grow your staff's challenges, and then always finding a way to, for those who take that and run with it, let them share back out and open that up as another model for the rest of the school too.
I mean, things have been difficult in terms of the situation we're in, but on the other hand, so many doors have opened. I mean, teachers and students and coaches are learning so many new things. Think about
Mhm.
all the technology that people have learned to be able to use. And that technology goes back to that transfer of learning, that
Mhm.
there are so many multiple ways of doing it, whether collaborating, like I said, on a Jamboard, or making each teacher making a Google slide about the investigation,
Mhm.
and then having other teachers or other coaches comment on their slide.
Mhm.
Um, just all of the things that so many of us, myself included, I'm going to raise my hand, both of them,
Mhm.
could not have done previous to this. And actually, I'm going to rephrase that. Did not do. It's not could not have done,
Wow. Yeah.
but it's did not do for lots of reasons,
Mhm.
but I was able to learn, as so many of our coaches and teachers have had to learn and been able to implement.
Mhm.
I mean, I do think one of the things I want to say is I want to give our coaches and our teachers a shout out for the amazing
Yeah.
things they have been able to do. And I also want to give those students a shout out too, because, and this is going back to something I've talked about a lot, especially during the summer,
Mhm.
is that the buildings closed, but our students didn't stop learning. They may not have learned exactly what we wanted them to learn, but they did not stop learning. And
Mhm.
they've learned some new and amazing things that now they can share with us. So
Yeah.
I'll get off my
I think they've
bandwagon for
also
a minute.
learned a lot about their learning, right?
Yes.
They have learned a lot about themselves as well. No, you bring up a really great point. Like the speed at which we are all learning in education has kind of hit that hyper speed because of necessity. And I one thing that is so exciting for me as a digital innovation specialist prior to what I'm doing now as a tech coach, if you would want to use that term, as a blended learning advocate, in addition to special education and literacy and science, is that we've kind of crossed that chasm of technology tools, and we've learned that some of them aren't ideal, but they can work, but some of them actually are better than how we did things before. They lead to more student centered, more student ownership. They are more efficient and more effective. So I'm excited that we've heard a few people talking about, we've got a web series coming up here at Sibme called Never Going Back. And it's really about when we go back, there are some things that we will not go back to
Too,
just
we want to
because
move forward. Right.
as we move forward. So, definitely something to think about. But I think one of my favorite things from this is really just thinking about how we can teach through the technology the same way our teachers are having to do so as we transfer that, thinking about that micro learning. We'll put those tenets of micro learning into our coach replay takeaways for this episode, and we post them this weekend. So be sure to download those from learn.sibme.com. But thinking about, you can use video, you can model through the same activity that you've learned it through. You can use one of your school's tools to be modeling that. Maybe that you did it on Google Slides in the learning that you did, but you are using Jamboard in your school, or Padlet. But then also asking our teachers, what's the best mode for them to learn in right now when they're exhausted and their cognitive load is already pretty full? What's the best way that we can help them continue to grow? And I think being able to, I'm a big fan of creating a library of videos that I highlight them and they know they're there. They can come back to them when they need to, if they need to. Is one of my favorite ways. They're able to comment on those videos and see what each other are interested in, and then share that out. So I think video plays a big role in this, whether it's through Zoom video, or if we're pre-recording. So, all right, Kathy, anything else for our audience before we go today?
I don't think so. We've certainly covered the range of topics.
We sure have. We went a little off, and then we came back on. And again, nothing about this show is ever rehearsed. So, well, we want to thank you all so much for joining us today. Again, if you have ideas for great ways that you have taken a new strategy or tool or thing that you've learned as you're taking it back to your campus, back to those classrooms, we would love to hear about it.
Right.
What are some good ways that you're kind of maximizing the use of technology and time to be able to transfer your new learning to those that you support? And we want to invite you next week to join us for another episode of the Sibme Coach Replay Show every single Friday at 12 Central, 1 Eastern on your favorite social media channel and in podcast as well. So, all right, Kathy, thanks so much for joining me today.
I enjoy it every time I'm on.
Every single time. I know.
I think this is number 3. Is this number 3? I think
I'm not sure. I think we've
number
lost
3
count.
or 4 anytime. Yeah.
Just this school year. So
yeah.
All right, Kathy. Well, I know we'll have you on again soon. I'm hoping we can get a panel of coaches coming on soon. So I think that would be a lot of fun.
Actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be too. All right. Well, y'all, we'll see you all next Friday. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you get a notification every time we go live. And we will see you next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.